Okay, so this is huge news. The UN General Assembly demands that Israel end its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestine territory. So this is straight from the United Nations. Let's put this right up on the screen here. This is the cover sheet to the article. It says UN General Assembly demands Israel end unlawful presence, had that in quotes here, in occupied Palestinian territory. Also showing on that same image the voting total for this resolution, where you can see that it says 124 in favor, 14 against, 43 abstained. Now, as far as who those countries are who were in favor, who were against, who abstained, we have a nice little graphic for you. We're going to put this up on the screen. And it shows every country who took a vote in this one, and who voted against and who decided not to vote at all. Unsurprisingly, we can see that the United States voted against. They're one of the 14 nations in the UN who decided to vote against this. But I am actually really encouraged by all the countries that you see here on the list. 124 nations coming out and directly saying that they think that Israel needs to end its occupation in Palestine is absolutely incredible. We are seeing a rebuke of Israel that the world basically hasn't seen since the founding of this country. And I do want to say that seeing so many of them say yes and so many and so few voting against, it's just a monumental sea change. And I feel like the advocacy that we are seeing and the worldwide just disruption and absolutely just people just going out into the streets and talking about this is really having an effect. I mean, it may not feel like it because we're not getting the exact result that we want, but this is absolutely having effect. But let's go into the article and read the details about what exactly is happening with this. So going back in here, I'll put this up on the screen now. It says with a recorded vote of 124 in favor, again, it's 14 against, 43 abstention. The resolution calls for Israel to comply with international law and withdraw its military forces, immediately cease all new settlement activity, evacuate all settlers from the occupied lands, and dismantle parts of the separation wall it has constructed inside the occupied West Bank. The next part says the General Assembly further demanded that Israel return land and other immovable property, as well as all assets seized since the occupation began in 1967. That's a long time ago. And all cultural property and assets taken from the Palestinians and Palestinians institutions. Furthermore, the resolution also demands that Israel allow all Palestinians displaced during the occupation to return to their place of their origin and make reparation for the damage caused by its occupation. The resolution stems from an advisory opinion from the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, which in July had declared that Israel's continued presence in the territory is unlawful and that all states are under an obligation not to recognize the decades-long occupation. First, let me just acknowledge this is huge news. This is absolutely huge. I mean, we are having over 100 countries sign on to this resolution saying that Israel needs to withdraw all of the territory that they've taken over the last like 50 years and give it back to the people whose land they took it from. I don't know that we've ever seen something like this in human history. So I think that, or at least in the history of the UN, for any matter, for any mention. So this is a massive deal as far as I'm concerned. But I hate to pour cold water on this a little bit, but I just don't know that even with a resolution like this, that it's actually going to mean anything at the end of the day, as far as it actually transforming into action. But with that being said, I do think it's a necessary step to get to that action, because in order to actually get to a reality where something like that would happen, you do need these initial processes to kind of play themselves out, where the majority, the super majority of the world is asking you to do this, essentially demanding you to do this in a way. And it is a necessary step along the line to kind of getting to where everyone wants it to get to, where Palestine essentially does have their territorial integrity back to where it should be. Kind of going a little bit further here, I do think that until the United States is also a part of this pressure campaign, I don't know that it's really going to happen in any meaningful way. But you never know when things might change. Kamala Harris has come out and seems like she's such a staunch of a supporter of Israel as Joe Biden was. She's not shown any kind of hint whatsoever that she's going to detract from any of his positions. But I also think that she's somebody who is a lot more just willing to change than Joe Biden was. Like Joe Biden seems like being a Zionist, something that's actually within his core, where Kamala Harris feels like she'll kind of just go where she feels is politically necessary. Some people might call that a bad thing. I think that that's an opportunity in this particular case. So I do think that Kamala Harris is it's possible that she could take a position of being anti-Benjamin Netanyahu if she felt like it was a politically advantageous thing for her. But let's read more from this ruling now. The assembly urged states to refrain from recognizing Israel's presence in the territory as lawful and to ensure that they do not provide aid or assistance in maintaining the situation created by the occupation. This includes taking measures to prevent their nationals, companies, and entities under their jurisdiction from engaging in activities that support or sustain Israel's occupation. Additionally, the assembly called on states to cease importing products originating from Israel settlements and to halt the transfer of arms, munitions, and related equipment to Israel in cases where they are reasonably grounds to suspect they may be used in the occupied Palestinian territory. Moreover, the resolution urged states to implement sanctions such as travel bans, acid freezes, against individuals, entities involved in maintaining Israel's unlawful presence in the territory. This includes addressing issues related to settler violence and ensuring that those engaged in these activities face legal and financial consequences. Again, this is massive. I'm sorry, this is absolutely massive. Calling for sanctions, calling for seizure of assets, calling for not sending more arms. And again, over 100 countries signed on to this. Is a massive deal, everyone. I am blown away that more people aren't talking about this. And again, I know that this probably isn't going to immediately be an off switch, that kind of like ends everything happening there. But this is a massive domino to fall in the chain that you would probably need to for you to eventually to get to that point. So I absolutely hope that this will continue to put pressure on Israel. I hope it continues to put pressure on the US, seeing how many countries signed on to this. And I hope that, another domino will soon fall in the effort to have Palestine finally have its land back. Thank you for watching this video of Independent Thought. If you liked the conversation, please go ahead and give the video itself a like and be sure to subscribe for future episodes.